it's on.
Hey
Thank you
guys!
for telling me it's on. Hey guys, we're excited to be with you today because we're going to show you some fun little clips of our kids, and they're learning how to drive their dirt bikes. And honestly, for me, it's kind of scary because I didn't grow up with 5-year-olds on dirt bikes. That I just didn't grow up with that, and so it makes me a little nervous, but it's okay because Adam's a really good driver. He's really good on dirt bike, and so he's teaching them, and they love it, and we've had lots of fun. This year we've been on camping trips, and that's what they want to do. They want to go on their little dirt bikes. And Ezra even got a couple rides this year.
Yeah.
He did. Not by himself yet. Still getting there.
He's a great dirt biker.
Yeah, but he got to ride with his dad a little bit.
So, here we go. Let's do this.
And I don't drive. I just ride with people. For the record. All right, Adam's gonna do the tech stuff now, and we're gonna talk. So, one thing that I've been thinking about that has to do with establishing your home, your family, the behavior or expectation that you have with your kids, and the experiences they have. What I want to talk about now is rules. I know it kind of sounds like not a fun thing, but they actually can be fun because they can be unique to your family. And I remember growing up thinking that it was so weird and kind of unfair that different families had different rules. I mean, why is it that, you know, some teenagers could stay out late and some had to be home by a certain time? I don't know, and I just didn't get that. But I was grateful that I didn't have a curfew. The rules kind of in my house were just as long as my parents knew where we were and when we'd be back, and just as long as we'd be back when we said we'd be back, then it was kind of like we didn't really have a curfew unless you earned it by being naughty, and then you got a curfew. There were a couple months when I had a curfew and had to be home by 10:30, and I was 14, and 10:30, that was just so hard, right? But I remember, you know, friends having to be back at a certain time, and I remember thinking that was unfair, and yet I want to talk about how it's totally fair, because every family can have different family rules, and that's okay, and we should expect that. And when I think about family rules, like, we had an experience where we were over at someone else's house, and I was talking about a movie that I didn't like because of the content, and I felt that it was too mature for kids, and yet the movie was supposedly a family, kid-friendly movie. And I remember it got awkward, and I was like, dang it, they probably like this movie. I'm like, why do I have to express my opinion so often? And I found out later that they had actually bought the movie and they were going to watch it with us. But they didn't even bring it up because I had said that I thought it was inappropriate for kids. So there you go, my big mouth. But it's okay that their family has different rules, and maybe I am a little strict with content with what my kids watch. I know that I am. But I want to know what they watch, and I want to know, yeah. We have rules in our family, like, for example, the children have to earn their screen time, and they have a certain amount of screen time, and we don't go over that. And it's totally okay if another family down the road doesn't have that, because maybe their kids need something else.
Yeah, it all comes really down to kind of like we talked about last week yesterday, sorry, about setting up and establishing, the family that you want, and that's going to be totally different depending on each family. Just like as we talked about yesterday, each company, every company has its own vision, mission, pledge, and all that stuff because they're very different, and every family is the same way. It should be different. We should be very different from other people as far as when we sit down and establish our goals, what we want to accomplish. It's going to be very different, and that's the same, with like kids too, because every kid is so different, right? And you have to set up and treat kids differently according to the way that they feel loved, according to what works for them. It's even just today I've been reading this book. What is it? Grab it there. How to Talk So Your Kids Will Listen, and listen so your kids will talk. It's pretty good. It has a lot of new ideas. We'll probably do a book review on it soon.
It has some good examples in it. It has lots of examples.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I like it.
And it's cool to always be learning about, reading these different books and being in places like this, because you'll think of things of, wow, I should try that. So we've been, struggling with one of our children with a certain thing, and
a certain concern.
And one thing that she mentioned in there was, so we've already tried and sat down and had talks about, hey, what if we were to do this, and what do you think you could do to stop this problem? And we've talked about it before, but she used the example in the book of making sure to write it down. So we tried this yesterday and had that child go grab a piece of paper. I was like, hey, go grab a piece of paper, and and good, she did it too.
She did it.
Awesome.
Yeah, the child.
So on the piece of paper, oh yes, the child. I guess that kind of limits it out.
You have to say the child. Can't say she or he, but it's okay.
Okay, so it's Marie. But so we sat down and we're like, hey, Marie, what could we do? We have a problem. What could we do to fix this problem? I want to get as many ideas as we can. We're not going to say anything's right or wrong. I'm going to give you some ideas that I have. You give me the ideas that you have. And we just wrote down all the ideas that we had. And then we said, okay, and we went through and said, so we could do this. And a lot of the ideas she didn't like because I had written them. And a lot of the ideas I didn't like because she had written them. And actually she didn't have that many, but we had to kind of drag them out of her. But eventually we landed on, okay, so what if we did this? What's the best one, Marie? Of all these things, of all these solutions, what's the best one?
So we had her choose the solution of the problem.
And so she chose it. And again, that's how families and kids are so different, right? Every situation is so different and it's very individualized. But she was like, okay, great. So she picked this one way to fix it, which I was actually very glad because that was the best option.
Yeah,
and she chose it, and we wrote down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on the piece of paper as well, and say, okay, Marie, every day that you do this, then we're going to put this on the fridge, and you can circle your day every time that you get it. And so she was excited about that.
She even told, I didn't tell you this, she even told her teacher about it at preschool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was telling her about the circles, and she just told her everything. I'm like, okay, you're telling lots of details. But she's like, and I'm going to do a circle every day that I do this, and that we don't have this problem. And it was good. It was good. Adam just did it, and I'm just watching going, well, this is a really good idea, honey. I'm just kind of watching. But I like how he split it up in little segments, like baby steps. So she could say, oh, this is one day where we didn't have this problem, where we found a solution, and it was something that she can mark, and she knows it's not the end of the world if she messes up again or whatever.
Yeah, and tonight, I'd forgotten about it, but when I was tucking her in tonight, I asked her about it, and she's like, yeah, I did it, and wrote it down, and I was like, kind of like, did you really? And so it's good It's good to look on there and
It's
see
on
that
the
she
fridge,
did it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Good.
So, just like rules and dealing with kids, again, things are going to be different. So the big thing with this, right, is don't judge, right? If
Don't judge other families.
If a family's like, hey, this is our family rule, respect that. And, don't judge, because we're all different and we have different ideas and we have different goals as family members. We have different people in our family who might
need different things.
need very different things.
Some of them need strict rules, and some kids really don't need strict rules, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, on certain subjects at different ages. And like, if you've got a child at your house, like visiting a friend or whatever, and they say, oh, I'm not allowed to do that, it doesn't matter if you think it's silly. Like, if that's their family rule, respect that. And if there's family rules, like I had the family rule growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch an R-rated movie. All growing up. And my parents let other parents know that, and they respected that rule, and I was very grateful for that, and they were grateful too. And I was never put in a position where, like, oh no, I have to tell everyone at this birthday party that I can't watch this movie. I mean, that would be really awkward for me, right? I mean, that would be hard for a kid. And so, but it was okay because the parents communicated and they knew that it wasn't going to be an R-rated movie, and that was the one family rule, and it's okay if it's not another family rule. It's really not, so.
Yep.
But yeah, so we're good? Anything else to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you haven't already, go ahead and head over to investinyourchild.com and take the 9-week challenge there. Just put in your name and email and you'll get some great free training, and mainly be in a community where, again, you're thinking about an important topic, right? Your family. We spend so much time with putting and investing in other things, education and everything, but how much time do we spend in really where we should care the most, because it is the most important in that area of our children and our family. So thanks again, and also if you haven't already, we'd love to hear from you in email or in a chat box here, your biggest challenge as a parent, and also what would be most helpful for you as a parent as you're raising your kids. So we'd love to hear your ideas on those two subjects as well. So thanks a bunch, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.